I think the Chinese crowd is pretty cool. Hopefully I can get some of the Chinese fans to cheer for us.
第一天我们虽然有些紧张，但我们还是很快速的调整了过来，并且赢下2场比赛。
A Cloud9 no primeiro dia jogou muito bem. Eu acho que até agora ela está sendo uma das equipes mais fortes do play-in.
Yeah, I think it's becoming pretty clear that we are the best in the group, and I hope, I can't wait to start preparing for the bracket stage.
179这波是直接一拥而上 ，Sneaky 一个，而闪加一漂亮的一套连招，直接刮死了大嘴。
Я уверен, что мы сыграем лучше, чем мы сыграли первый день.
Мы преодолеем все невзгоды и добьемся победы.
这一波干比的已经是要去强打，这边直接是被康帝承接下来这个大龙，龙的传人康帝没有让你拿掉这个大龙。
Después del partido del primer día contra el RedBert nos dimos cuenta que no era un equipo inganable, así que estamos buscando sacar ese punto que podríamos haber sacado la primera partida y no pudimos.
第一天的比赛，我们WE收获了非常多的掌声，也希望大家多给其他赛区的各个队伍多些鼓励跟掌声，让他们感受到来自东道主的热情。
Welcome back to the World's Play-In stage. Last night, Groups A and B gave it their all, and now they'll need to finish strong if they want to promote to the next stage of Worlds. Here you can see the crowd ready in Wuhan to see their favorite teams take to the stage. A little struggle there with the thunder stick.
How'd they light up?
Hey, man, we've been there. I've been there. Those things are hard. You have to hit them incredibly hard. Cloud9, though, coming in as well. Looking pretty comfortable, looking pretty confident. We saw yesterday Impact with a big smile as he took down the Direwolves. Team 1, despite some rough losses yesterday, looking comfortable as well. And of course, the I Heart China sign, got to give it up to the local crowd as teams, just in general, getting ready for one final day of competition, lecturing the players, ready at any moment.
Yeah, Team 1 are just frankly trying to get on the board after it was a very dominant performance on the other side from Cloud9. So it's a kind of a song of fire and ice here there for them.
Definitely, and finally, Smoothie and Jensen joking around in good spirits after, like we said, such a dominant performance yesterday. It's kind of hard to not be too focused. And there's Ryze throwback. Saw the Ryze jersey. He joined their coaching staff not too long ago, actually.
I know, Ryze, not a name that we expected, but is returning to the coaching staff. Good to see. Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Dracos. Joining me is, of course, Mark Zimmerman and a special guest, Indiana Frostgirl in Black. I prefer her now as Admiral Flowers. I would like to formally change her name as such.
Well, I don't want to be a part of that. I have one too, but I'm still gonna keep.
No, you're like maybe officer.
I got like dragged along with it. I was like, I guess
Yeah.
I'll be a part of the gang. I'm just looking for anything.
It started with Alice. He's also got a flower, and then Mark Z had one. I was like, well, I got to turn it up to 11 right now.
Yeah, you've got a flower to. Oh, all right. Well, you're, as always, on point, Frostgirl. But before we get into today's games, let's pull up the standings to see what teams are fighting for. Of course, we look at it. Group A has Gambit Esports behind Lion Gaming and Team WE after day 1, while North America's Cloud9 tops Group B with OPL's Direwolves 1 game back. But really, nothing is set in stone. Teams are going to need to give it their all today or risk cutting their Worlds run short. It's hard to deny, though, when you look specifically at Group B and the performances that Cloud9 put up yesterday, that they are looking incredibly dominant here.
Yeah, they came into the tournament talking a lot of smack, and they instantly backed that up yesterday with a pair of 30-minute wins. Jensen was, of course, the kind of standout player. He took control of game 1 pretty heavily and then was able to show that Galio pick in game 2.
Yeah, and we expect great things of Jensen, but it's when the rest of Cloud9's members, specifically Contractz yesterday on his Nidalee performance, also step up, that Cloud9 fans get excited. You know, we know that they've got the caliber on that team, a world champion up into the top lane, consistent performer in Sneaky, you know, 5 world champions underneath, or world's appearances underneath his belt, and now they're starting to get more of that showtime and get more of that power back in them.
And I just want to continue to see them mix it up. You know, Jensen now on a tankier champion, sometimes more the assassin, but definitely getting support across the board. On the opposite side in Group A, Team WE still definitely looking like the favorites, did not show the same dominance, however, as their Group B counterparts.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it was probably a harder group overall a little bit, just looking at the strength of teams in there. Everyone was saying, oh, Gambit's in here, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but they definitely did not wow quite the way that we were expecting.
Yeah, no excuses. That was a false start for Team W against Lion. Lion out-team fought them, out-skirmished them, and put up a very good front, but ultimately it was Team WE having control over the macro priority on the map and taking the game, as well as then just cleaning out Gambit Esports.
Made it look very easy in the end, but it's crucial right now for Team WE to show their dominance in their rematch versus Lion Gaming, because if they drop that game, they could find themselves in a tiebreaker scenario. And based on Lion's performance yesterday, it's really not out of the realm of possibility.
Right, because even though they did struggle a little bit to keep up with the macro of World Elite when they played later in the day versus Gambit, they completely destroyed them, and it was very impressive to see, and it shows that it wasn't really a flash in the pan or a fluke performance of just WE playing maybe a little too conservative or anything. They actually have the chops to go toe-to-toe with them.
And frankly, that's been the biggest surprise of the tournament so far. You know, everyone was looking at Gambit Esports, giving them the benefit of the doubt with some of those legacy names that they were going to be the big, you know, emerging region team. But it was Lion Gaming, you know, probably what, the most decorated team in League of Legends, 9 domestic titles to their name, that just came in flying.
I mean, look, historically, they have in the past had very good performances in the group stages. They've never quite been able to transition it onto the world stage until now. But now that they're here, they are showing up. They are clearly proving themselves worthy of the group so far.
Yeah, it always feels just like a little short of coming up big at these international tournaments. The wildcard play-ins previously, MSI, they had Gigabyte Marines in the group. It felt like something was just always barely roadblocking them from having that breakout performance.
And the thing is they fall back a lot on their individual mechanical talent, specifically in their AD carry White Lotus. He put up huge numbers yesterday, and then their mid laner in Xayah, who just went Super Saiyan. That scatter of the week on Team WE still gives me nightmares.
And really, when I looked at that team, I thought, hey, White Lotus is going to be good. The real one that surprised me, though, White Lotus, Xayah, these are guys you know to perform. Adi historically as well, but he had been struggling recently domestically, comes onto the world stage, Lee Sin immediately. Next game, all having impact in the early game as well. It does feel like Lion are showing us something more than they showed even in their regional league.
Yeah, I think the Lee Sin game in particular was impressive just because it was a very difficult game to execute in the late game as a Lee Sin. A lot of defensive tools for WE, as well as the carries having mobility.
He found Mystic like every single time.
Yeah, very impressive to see.
Yeah, the Gragas and the Jaina, probably not where Lee Sin expects to get in, but did make it work. However, we'll see what teams can earn themselves that spot in the play-in stage knockout groups for A and B. First up, Team One Esports are going to hope to derail the Cloud9 hype train, followed by that rematch between Lion Gaming and Team WE, which could be the decider for the #1 and #2 seed. Then the remaining 6 teams, will play out the rest of the round robin, and we will post any tiebreakers at the end of the day. Really, guys, I'm looking most to that game 2, Lion versus WE. I think this is the big one. This is the one that has looked the closest out of all the matches we've seen so far.
Probably the most hype one to look at, but I think both game 1 and game 2 today are super important because if the current #1 seeds, Cloud9 and WE, are able to pick up wins, then they are officially on to the bracket stage, not necessarily as the 1 seed, but they're definitely moving on to the play later on in the tournament.
Yeah, and that said, it's still about maintaining form. You know, even if Lion and Team One aren't able to upset the power regions necessarily, though Lion has a pretty good shot at it, it's still then, you know, the other teams looking across to them in the groups, you know, that means that they could exit out in 2nd seed and suddenly they're entering into a very scary best of 5.
Yeah, and that scary best of 5 is going to be interesting. We haven't even seen Group C and D play yet, so I'm wondering really like what the relative strengths are going to be of these other groups, because as we talked about Group B already, so incredibly Cloud9 dominated, where Group A feels much, much closer.
And I think that's the thing is, it's hard to say what's going to happen when you head into each group because we were saying, oh, Gambit's probably the second one to watch for in Group A. I don't know where it's Lion. So as you get ready for, you know, C and D games coming up tomorrow, you're going to have the same kind of things where you're not sure exactly how it's going to shape out. But today, of course, 2 teams will be going home as well. So that's a huge storyline too.
It is at least nice to continue to hear the confidence from Gambit Esports, though, that they say that they can still take the games, that they don't seem entirely morally crushed right now, and they can come out hard and fast.
Yeah, it's going to be C, but of course you can be sure to make sure you leave your mark on the competition with the newest addition to the Championship line. And as a reminder, 25% of the proceeds from Championship Ash and Reward Skin purchases are going to be added to the World's prize pool, and an additional 25% will also be donated to charity. And you can also unlock the Championship Ash Chroma through the World's missions, which will be available through all of Worlds. Now, before we get into today's game, we'd like to inform you of an emergency substitution to 1907 Fenerbahce's starting roster. Due to issues acquiring Visa's starting jungler, Move will not be able to participate at Worlds, and he's going to be replaced by Vici Gaming's jungler Crash for the remainder of the tournament. Now, for more information on the emergency substitution, you can check out the corresponding article on lolesports.com. You can see the link at the bottom of your screen. But that is enough from us. We have talked plenty about Groups A and B, so let's just get into it. Let's send it over to the casters to take us into Game 1.
Hello everyone, I'm Max Atlas Anderson, and casting alongside me for the first time in the history of all existences is Aiden Zyrene Moon. How has this not happened already, man?
I have no idea. I kind of like, when they signed us together, I was like, did I cast with him at All-Stars?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember, but you know, maybe I was thinking of Pastry Time. I get you guys confused.
Well, look, come on. That's been done before, and I think that one's starting to get old. We are different people, Zyrene, okay? But I looked at it, I was like, oh, I get to cast with Zyrene again. Hang on. It's not again. It's just never happened. So thankfully, we are now here, and boots are strapped and ready to run for our first game. It's going to be Team One Esports versus Cloud9. So let's kick things off by taking a look at the starting lineups. Hoping to pick up their first win at Worlds, CBLOL's Team One Esports. In the top lane, it will be Vert. In the jungle, Forlan. Mid, Marf making his debut to Worlds, and bot will be Absolut and RedBert. And behind them is Coach Neki.
Yes. I want to see a little more fight out of that team here today.
Yeah.
Of course, they will be looking across the rift at Cloud9, looking to lock in their spot in the play-in knockout stage. If they win this one, they will be moving on. Top lane, Impact, jungle, Contractz, mid lane, Jensen, bot lane, Smoothie with support. Smoothie as support, and Sneaky as a bot laner with Coach RedBert.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. But yesterday, Cloud9 topped their group with 2 sub-30-minute games. Well, one of them was exactly 30-minute, was basically sub-30-minute games. They were super dominant against both the Direwolves and Team One Esports. Is it going to be the same today? I mean, we've got some side switches and things, Irene. Do you have some hope for the Brazilians and the Oceanians?
Well, I really just want to see more fight out of the Brazilian side. I know they have a lot of passion there, and they've swapped things up with Marf, but right now, up against Cloud9, Cloud9 showed some diversity. Yesterday, they ended up succeeding through Jensen carrying a little bit, but then they picked the Galio, which was a little bit of a curveball, because it's actually Impact's most played champion in the top lane, and Jensen had never played it in the mid lane, so they were able to throw the Direwolves off, and that is something that North American fans are really happy about seeing from this third seed from NA, because this will be able to kind of allow other teams in the future to not just have that Galio go over and know, oh, it's going to Impact. Now we're seeing the diversification for Cloud9. That's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, it's massive amounts of flexibility, and having a Galio that you can now flex is something that they've never had in their wheelhouse before, and means that Team One Esports, I mean, they played the first time around, and now they know they have this flexibility. So now it's even harder to draft against them, and draft has been one of the problems here for this team. So while Cloud9 are expanding their identity, we're looking for Team One to start on the right foot, and that might have to begin in the mid lane with this swap, because Marf, statistically over the season, looking much better than that of Bruiser.
Yeah, even just in their win-loss, Bruiser 8-6, Marf 7-2. So Marf starting, and we talked about the jungle, or the mid lane might be the place to kind of mix things up. That apparently is what Team One Esports is thinking as well. Bruiser usually starts for the team, but if you look at the statistics like you were saying, Marf averages 80% more kills per game, over 100 damage per minute more, and has a better CSD at 15. So he's winning lane more, and he's also team fighting better. So they're hoping that he can hold up against Jensen, the all-NA LCS pro mid laner, who honestly had a beating on Bruiser yesterday with almost 40 CS up.
Yeah, that was absolutely terrifying. Not to mention the fact that Bruiser didn't have a good time against Fantix as well. I mean, Fantix ahead of the clock by like 20 CS at the same time. It was a sub-26-minute game from the Direwolves, so Team One really need to change things up. And I absolutely love this. I feel like substitutions are a great way to get even the rest of the team into a different mindset, a change-up, and a fresh start for today. And they're debuting for day number 2, and they're going to need to really make a change.
Yeah, and you've been casting the LCK, where that is a very common thing, where teams will go ahead and sub in players in and out, even if it was a victory sometimes, but a lot of the times in the losses, so that other people can be like, okay, I think I can hold up against this guy. That's what I'm looking for here, because Team One typically has been the team that won 3-1s. They have okay macro, right? They win not because they have these individual stars, but because they play as a team. And Bruiser has been a big part of that, and that's why he's had more games over Marf. But Marf is just individually a better performer, and after what we saw with Bruiser up against Jensen and Fantix, it seems like you just at least need somebody who can hold up in these lanes and not have it be a liability, and to get to your game plan.
Well, speaking of getting to the game plan, we're into Champion Select for game number 1 of the day. Team One Esports will be on the blue side this time around, and Cloud9 wearing some red shorts, which is really scary because Cloud9 play incredibly well from the red side already. Jarvan going to be banned away, and Olaf will be the response here from Cloud9.
And I love this from Cloud9, because one of the things that Forlan has been very good at is this Olaf. He is 7-1 with the Olaf during the regular season, a very successful champion for him. And Cloud9 has actually been very highly respecting what these play-in teams can do. The double bans towards top lane to stop, split push strategies before. And now you see Team One banning away Jensen, 2 bans to stop the mid lane domination and get Marf a better matchup.
I think banning the LeBlanc is certainly something to get rid of some PTSD, Zyrene, because Yeah, Jensen certainly put on a clinic on that champion. We are going to have some CSD numbers for you into the game, and they are not fun for Brazilian fans.
Oh, not at all. We said about 39 at 10, and then at 15 minutes, it was even more than that. But that's the thing, is the domination that Jensen had over Bruiser. They're hoping they can circumvent that with the substitution of Marf in here. And keep in mind, Marf's champion pool is a little bit different. Cassiopeia and Aurelion Sol. These are the two champions that really stick out in his champion pool, and we'll see if he's able to play something like that against Jensen and find success.
Well, it is going to be the Xayah picked up and taken away from Sneaky. Of course, 100% of his games here at the play-ins have been on that champion. Now C9 looking to try and split up the Lovers duo. They might be having a tiff across Rift now, Zyrene, which is something you definitely do not want happening, as Contractz now thinking about what his pick is going to be. But I do like that starting pick, because if something's been working for a team, you got to try and change that up, try and get them on a different foot. Of course, Sneaky does have that Tristana to go to that he's looked so incredibly good on.
Yeah, the Tristana is what comes to mind, but Xayah right now seems to be the prime AD carry. I believe she is taken most commonly yesterday as a #1 pick from either blue or red side. Very high priority on this champion that has self-peel, a lot of damage, and I love her build. The fact that you go for an Infinity Edge type item, or you go Essence Reaver first, Static Shift for wave clear, and then you get to double back and don't have to go for a second attack speed item. You go for more crit because her W gives her movement speed, extra damage, all the works that you would want on an AD carry. So she does a deceptive amount of damage at a 2-3 item spike.
Also makes her 3-item spike completely disgusting as far as damage is concerned, with all that extra CDR that you pick up from the Essence Reaver, not to mention above 50% crit. But the Alistar has finally made its way through. We've seen this on the ban list so many times. And that is going to be Xayah Alistar picked up. So the engage potential is massive, now augmented with the Elise for Forlan. And this is a massive change from what he's been doing. This is much more meta. It's been Nidalee and Jax for this guy the last 2 times. And I'm glad that we're seeing him go back to something that has been in the jungle throughout 2017. Didn't even mention the fact that Impact has picked up the Cho'Gath, unless Contractz wants to be playing that one in the jungle.
Yeah, most likely for Impact in the top, and the Tristana feels like what they would pick here, yes. So we'll go back and talk about Team 1 Esports. The Alistar has been banned away quite a bit in the second round for a lot of teams, but hasn't made it through on a lot of people's priorities. It is a pretty good pick into Rakan. You have kind of a neutral laning phase, and later, because of some of the Rakan nerfs, the hitbox size, etc., you can actually get a headbutt onto his ultimate and not get charmed now yourself while you hit him away.
Yeah.
So there's some nice little interactions here that can happen to disrupt Smoothie.
Not to mention the fact that now RedBert can get around the map. We talk about Team 1 as having a chaotic style, and being able to follow an Elise around, get this gank duo happening. It means that the solo lanes that we haven't yet seen could possibly get some work done in the hands of Vert and Marf. But the Lucian is going to be taken out of Marf's playbook. Of course, wasn't one of the champions that he played in the regular season.
Yeah, Bruiser was known as the Lucian player, so this substitution may have actually thrown Cloud9 off a little bit, but they do still throw the 2 bans they had previously with the Trundle and the Mundo, respecting Vert in the top lane so he doesn't get as easy of a 1-3-1. Gnar jumps to mind, though.
Yeah, exactly. And Trundle, of course, giving away the fact that Impact will probably be playing that super tank towards the top side, not wanting to give that Subjugate some extra oomph. But that last ban has been a while to come through. Will, in the end, be the Corki to take away some lane pressure for Jensen, but he's got a heck of a lot more in his playbook. Something like the Orianna is sticking out like a sore thumb at this stage, but he could be the first one to play Cassiopeia here.
Yeah, the Sejuani, though. Yeah, the Sejuani is something that I think is incredibly powerful. I actually think she's an S-tier jungler at the moment. Banned away has only been, I believe, picked in a single game so far by Schernfire, and it didn't have a good showing. But she is incredibly potent in teams that have more melees and also has something like a Cho'Gath here. So they're going to have a good front line for Cloud9, and this leaves them counter pick for mid, and they can potentially take a hyper carry.
And as, you know, an Oceanian myself, looking at the top jungle combination that we got absolutely dumpstered on over the side of the Direwolves, Cloud9 going to lock it away and show us exactly how that one is supposed to work, as the Shen is actually going to be locked in here for Vert, so a lot of protection for Absolut if they are going to be putting that on the Xayah, and we'll see what Marf wants to add to the wheelhouse in order to augment this. And Taliyah could be another option, so a lot of mobility around the map here for Team 1.
Yeah, the Shen is another champion that Vert is known for. It's mostly the Mundo, Trundle, and the Shen that are the 3 that he uses to split push. So now Team 1 are open to a 1-3-1 with Collapse. They have Taliyah wall, they have Shen ultimate, but they also have this Elise. I'm looking at the jungle in this matchup. because of the fact that this is an aggressive jungler for Forlan, which allows him to have that early pressure so you can dive things like maybe the Cho'Gath in the top, maybe get some advantages there. And I like this pick from Jensen. Ryze has made a huge surge in solo queue. Not so much on the stage just yet, so the world's meta is a little bit still in development.
Yeah, we have seen it once so far here in the play-ins, and we know sort of by whispers about scrims that Ryze has been considered a counterpick to some of these matchups. Jensen thinking that Taliyah could be one of those options, and certainly the single target lockdown CC that they now have is despicable. You get that Rune Prison, follow it up with some Permafrost. C9's mid-jungle combo is going to be really, really frightening, and that's what happens every game, Zyrene. We always get Contractz hanging out with Jensen. These guys are the Bash brothers, and it's going to be hard for Marf to keep himself safe. However, you know, Taliyah has been safe. You know, you can just throw rocks in, try and clear out the minion waves, and then move the heck out of the way.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder for her since the mana cost changes.
Yes, that's very true.
And in a lot of her matchups, I got to talk to Bjergsen about it a little bit, where now rushing Merc Treads isn't as easy because now you have to get like a mana item early on, like a Lost Chapter. So some of her matchups are a little bit harder than they were before, but we'll see what Marf is able to do up against Jensen here. Both of them actually taking the cleanse in the mid lane and respecting what the jungler on either side can do to affect it. Because remember Jensen yesterday in that post-game interview, it's not just about the mid lane, it's about the attention that the junglers give.
And now it's super important as well because we've got this early game powerhouse jungler in the Elise. Not entirely sure what Forlan is going to be able to do with it, but we saw what Contractz did to the opponent Sejuani when they faced off against the Direwolves. Shenfire did not have a good time. Was in Italy, so a different story, but Forlan will probably want to go aggressive, try and get things started quickly here for Team 1. We are onto the Rift now for game number 1 of day 2. And C9 just wanting to get that third win. The dream is to get 3 on the board because you're feeling very, very comfortable. We are going to have a slight pause, though, to start things off. Wouldn't be the beginning of the day if there wasn't a little bit of a pause. And now, Zyrene, we get to have a bit more of a chat because we need as much camera time as possible because the two of us haven't been here like this so far for any event. Oh, so glad. I feel like we could just keep this for a while and just have a chat.
Do I have to say anything? I mean, like, just
know.
let it sit? No, but I feel like for these two teams, let's talk about these teams really quickly because I feel like Team 1, I really just think that the Brazilian fans have kind of been against them because this is not the Pain Gaming, this is not the INTZ, right? And now they're coming out and they're 0-2 at the start. I want to see more punch from them. I want to see more fight. I want to see this aggressive play here. And they have some proactivity built into this composition. You have the Elise that can dive the turrets. You have the Shen that when you hit level 6, I don't want to see the reactive ultis. I want to see the proactive ultis. And then they have the Alistar. There is a lot here for Team 1 Esports to push Cloud9 in and provide pressure. And I think that proactivity is king in League of Legends. If you are the one making the moves, typically you will come out on top or have a higher percentage chance in that play to come out on top.
And also, I mean, if you think about teams that haven't necessarily been as successful or had as much experience, things like that, having a team that can snowball early is much easier than having these slow grind out teams that need to get going, that need to not make mistakes as the game goes on. So having all of these options in the early game is fantastic. Plus, this composition looks legit. This looks like something that we've seen before. It's not like one of these double AD carry, double Ardent Sensor compositions. It's not like the Fiora Jax, things like that. Doesn't seem to be a gimmick involved with what Team 1 Esports have put together. It's just a lot of early game pressure, a lot of engage potential as well, and the roaming power that RedBert is going to have will be very, very important moving forward. So back into the game, we'll see whether they can actually make that happen, because we can say all these things, but it still needs to work.
It comes down to execution, who's going where, what the junglers are doing. That's why I want to watch them closely, because when I look at this at face value, I feel like one has winning top lane, especially when the Shen is taking Fervor against the Cho'Gath. Then they have a winning bottom lane, and they have a winning jungle here. So C9 have to do things like this to track the jungle early, or else they're going to be off to a disadvantage right from the get-go.
Okay. Unfortunately, we didn't have RedBert give anyone the cowbell, so I feel like everyone's probably looking forward to that. C9 not going to be as intimidated now. He had the opportunity, decided not to do it. Contractz looking like he's going to start on his blue side. Red side starts. So same side of the jungle here. We could have our junglers meeting towards the top side potentially. See whether that's going to be enough. Of course, having this tank matchup top side does mean that Forlan will be in a little bit more of an optimal position if they want to get a kill up there.
Let's see what his route ends up going with here. They have a good idea of where he is because they know he didn't do red, and they just saw with Jensen pushing up in lane to try and get priority that Marf was kind of hanging around the Raptors and then used a Q. So they have an idea that the Elise is there or it was a fake leash. And now they see exactly where he is.
RedBert just putting his face in it for the moment. Explosive shot going to come down, but of course has suffered a little bit of a nerf here on this patch, so Absolut not going to be as worried. Despite that, still going down to about half health.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because it's a coin for the Alistar. Typically, we'll see the combat stats, we'll see the relic shield.
I like that bank account.
Yeah. Well, he's just trying to get that money.
Yeah, you got to, man.
Wouldn't really be an Ardent Sensor rush either. I've seen some Alistars go relic shield and then go into the Talisman of Ascension later for the movement speed.
Oh, I like this from Marf. Already going aggressive in comparison to what we saw from Bruiser as well.
Well, he does have the Elise on this side too, who's level 3. Gonna get in there on Jensen.
Yeah, Repel is going to come down as the rep up is slowing Jensen. The flash goes forward. The Cocoon! Max range with the cleanse comes in. Forlan in trouble. Sub 100 health, and that's first blood for Jensen. Contractz in trouble. Marf, he wants it. Does he have the volley? No, he doesn't. And Cloud9, 2-0 to start things off.
By the skin of his teeth. Contractz gets away. Jensen gets the kill with the accuracy there and the Ryze combos. But that, for Team 1, was an ideal situation to pick up something, and they get outplayed.
Yeah, you have to look at that play and think that Team 1 had so much of an opportunity. It can't be that they're feeding or anything like this. We do now have a red buff on Jensen, which is a disaster for Team 1, but that could have gone either way. There were pixels, there were minute timings that really played a part, so I am definitely impressed with how Team 1 played it. It's just unfortunate that it went C9's way.
Yeah, Forlan runs up in spider form and has to then use combo and then turn over to his human form to get the cocoon. If you are opening with something like that instead and you're getting your EWQ combo in human and then swapping, it's more damage, and that's what matters in these little skirmishes, is how much you can milk out of these fights.
Well, Smoothie taking a lot of damage here. The trample from RedBert really doing some work. As of course, Rakan, not exactly known for his tankiness in the early game, especially when you take that coin to start things off. Contractz now slinking around as best a pig lady can do.
Yeah, and once again, mid lane, mid lane, mid lane, mid lane. Elise is here, Sejuani is here.
Surprise.
Elise is here 2 seconds later, and now they're gonna try it again. There's the cocoon.
Yeah, good movements forward, but it's not gonna be enough here for Marf. Jensen just moves his way in. That's gonna be an easy third kill for C9. Repel comes down, but there is not a lot of locations for him to go, and an easy double. Now Jensen already off to a flying start, 100% kill contribution, 3-0-1. This is a disaster in the making for Team 1 Esports.
I feel like the repel there as well. That was something that you didn't have to do. It gave more time for Jensen to get cooldowns back. And this right here, we can see Contractz is literally just 2 seconds faster to the gank than the Elise is, and that's what makes the difference. If the Elise is there first, she'll get the combo onto Jensen, and then you have to outplay from there. But this is right from both of the sides.
Yeah, I mean, you're just repelling to see your death for a little bit longer. There was no way he was getting out of there as RedBert. Nice double. Pulverize does come in. Not exactly kill damage here, but a lot of harassment going down. It's Absolute full health, feeling comfortable. Just a little bit upset about how the rest of the map is going, because there's a 2,000 gold lead at 5 minutes for C9.
Yeah, and it's off that mid lane. It's just 2-on-2 skirmishes, and the jungle mid of Cloud9, you can see, is just a little bit better in timing, a little bit better in that synergy, and that may even just be, you know, the repetitions that Marf has had in the lineup. He's actually played less games than Bruiser. How much time has he had to synergize with Forlan? But Jensen and Contractz been playing together the whole split, the whole year, right? Contractz was brought on as a rookie and has kind of been, you know, a mid laner's favorite jungler, because Jensen's been able to kind of craft him into what they need.
Contractz, exactly. Just following him around. Feels like how we used to talk about Maple and Cassie, you know? It's like they were almost the entirety of the Flash Wolves for about a season there.
Yeah, and
Contractz doing the same thing for Jensen, making him look like a god.
But also, you think about the games yesterday, where we were talking about C9 in a diverse style. Contractz played a full AD Rek'Sai, then he played things like the Nidalee, right?
Yeah,
so
pretty
now,
full AP Nidalee as well.
Showing the fact that he can play a diverse style, that Jensen can play things like this Ryze, as well as the Sejuani for Contractz, and now he's going top again. This was once again something he did the other day, and now he's got Contractz and Jensen. They're just teaming up here.
Yeah, Vert is in a lot of trouble. Moving out of the way as Jensen's just going to realm walk his way forward. Vert at least underneath the turret as he flashes his way forward.
Now he has no way to dodge incoming CC.
Impact does need to hit the ruptures.
Yeah.
But he could waste some time here.
Buying time. That's what he's doing. He's going to go down, though.
Yeah, Taliyah is going to be moving towards the bottom side to try and capitalize, but you can see C9 very intelligently just hanging out underneath their turret, not going to give them any space to work with. Vert does have his teleport, so he can get back up to that lane, but now 5-0 for C9. Yep, so much control.
Yeah, but this Infernal Drake will go over because of the time that Vert was able to buy, and that blue buff's going to go over to Marf. So they're going to try to get something back in this mid lane, which has been an absolute disaster. Ryze, Jensen also started with a Dark Seal. 8 stacks already for that damn thing. He's got so much AP that's been stacking up. And remember, the Ryze buff was a 0.4 increase on the ratio of Rune Prison. Typically, rises by tier into Catalyst, and you have no AP. So that buff doesn't even come online until later, but now you're already looking at a bonus of almost like 25 damage to what his W is doing on this patch versus before.
Oh no, and they're just going to do it again. Realm Walk isn't available this time, but wasn't exactly necessary last time as well as Contractz. Just a last-minute ultimate to throw forward just to make everyone feel better, and an easy kill comes in for Impact, making it 6-0.
Yeah, but it's 6 kills in 8 minutes. This is high tempo from Cloud9, countering the tempo that oNe had, or oNe was actually matching at the start. It just came down to the execution and the little decisions in the fight and leading up to the fight too.
Yeah, and it feels like just that one moment early in the game has just been so perfectly capitalized on by C9. They know exactly what they need to do in order to snowball this forward, and they're making all of the aggressive moves that they need to, moving that gold towards the top side as well. Now a 2-0 Impact purely because Jensen was so far ahead, Contractz was so far ahead. And is Sneaky going to be dead? No, he's not.
Nah, he's actually been winning this lane by himself. Sneaky has been able to win this lane with Smoothie, just pretty much off of just the matchup, which you typically would say would go in favor of the Xayah with the trading potential, but he's been able to just CS a little bit better without attention.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like mid lane and how it kind of just went a little bit C9's way, and that's made the difference. But I got to give credit to oNe that it was the right idea to gank mid and be aggressive, and then to repeat because all summoner spells were down, right? All flashes on both Jensen and Contractz as well as his cleanse, but same with Team oNe. So both Contractz and Forlan had the exact same idea, and it's the appropriate play.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's not like they made a mistake or anything like that. It's just that 2 kills that went down early on.
Yeah, I would say from a macro
it just
perspective,
didn't work. Exactly.
From a macro perspective, it's the right thing to do. From a micro perspective, it's just a little bit of an execution error and a timing error. Before land down bottom, trying to get something in a lane that he hadn't visited before.
Yeah, finds the cocoon, and that's the grand exit. With the quickness available as well, means Smoothie is going to be fine. We'll have to go back to base, but it's another failed gank, unfortunately, there for Forlan, and all summoners still held on to.
Yeah, turret race time. Oh, looking for Vert.
We do have a Glacial Prison available, but Contractz decides not to throw it forward. Marf now looking for more, but they will just grab this first turret gold over for Team oNe Esports. So that will get them back within touching distance as far as money is concerned, but C9 still just happily scaling up. Remember, this is a Ryze. He's going for his Rod of Ages. He's going for his Seraphs. Like, oh man, this is frightening, Zyrene.
Yeah, the big difference here is when you look at what's happened in terms of the split map, look at the top side for Cloud9. They've warded up everything, but hold on. Sneaky's gonna get out.
Weird.
Marf, though.
That was like an extra boosted rocket jump as the flash does come out. Forlan finds nothing. He's gonna get killed by the turret. Thankfully, he wasn't touched by anyone on the side of C9. And Team oNe, once again, absolutely no joy for any of these ganks.
Yeah, and they're gonna get that top lane turret taken away from them, and Cloud9 are gonna keep pushing. And what I was talking about is all of this vision that's near the blue buff of oNe, and Cloud9 have control of this quadrant. On the opposite side, Team oNe had exactly the same amount of control of Cloud9's jungle, but there are no wards that they placed there, no control wards. There were 3 wards in the inventory of RedBert, I believe. And he was able to put down a few, but most of them are being used in the lane to set up the previous gank, and they weren't able to advance their ward lines. So they actually have less control of the pressure points on the map.
And right now it actually looks like they've got less champions on the map as well, because the inner turret falls on the top side. We've got this mid lane turret getting a lot of chip damage from Jensen. So RedBert now has to get himself back towards said turret, offer him some sort of protection, but yeah, close to a 5,000 gold lead at 11 minutes is nothing to scoff at, and that is only going to continue as the whole outer ring, actually no, because one of them was an inner, but that outer turret in the mid lane is very, very important as far as getting map control, and C9 barely needed any help in that regard.
Yeah, and you know exactly where they're going next. They're going to kind of make you right, Atlas. They'll go get that outer ring. They want that. But right here, once again, the mechanics come into play.
The rocket jump.
Outplay with the rocket jump. Marf comes in. and then Forlan with the flash forward. And then he just gets taken out there as they were trying to be proactive. I like the proactivity with the Shen ulti, just the execution is off once again. And this is a cascading effect of once you start dying and have an 0-2 Elise who doesn't have a whole lot of items, you're looking at lower and lower chances of making these plays work because you're going for these dives where you're putting your combat stats against theirs and they have a distinct advantage.
Well, I'm going to take it all back. There's no Rod of Ages being picked up here for Jensen. He's going to go towards the Abyssal Mask, so which is now the build. Well,
yeah.
I'm stuck back in time when it comes to Ryze.
It's either or, to be honest. You can go for the Rod of Ages. I've seen it many times, but this is another thing that allowed Ryze to come back in is when they have multiple sources of magic damage, you can build that Abyssal Mask, even though Impact did exactly the same thing.
Feels a bit redundant.
Right? It does feel redundant, but at the same time, it's got CDR on it. It's a little bit better for Ryze in that regard compared to the Rod of Ages. It doesn't scale up with the AP, which you would think would be better, but the magic resistance is the big ticket there. It's not going to hinder his damage much, but he'll have that extra survivability, which honestly, Ryze is a machine gun mage. Yeah. Survivability is key once you're ahead.
And also he's up against Forlan and Marf, who are on both magic damage dealing champions, so of course having a bit of extra magic resist certainly helps. And ticking up to about 20% CDR here just with these items alone feels great for a Ryze who, like, you know, it's just giving him more attack speed on that machine gun.
I'm looking at Cloud9. All right, I feel like they're speed running the play-ins. They had that tweet from Jensen, like, who are these guys? What's going on? And they're just saying, we're going to play our game.
Yeah, and if you think about it, you know, you got to buy the championship Ashe skin, and the money will go to charity, and this is like, that's what speedrunning's all about. That does make
That's true.
sense.
That's true. This is World's Done Quick.
It all works out. But Team 1 certainly do not want that, and they're going to try and turtle this one out as best they can. But we mentioned that this team composition has a lot of options as far as early game power, engage potential. None of those engages have worked, and none of the early game has gone their way, and it just feels like Sneaky down here, having the time of his life, going to make me correct there by taking out the final turret in those outer rings. And just continue having a great time on Summoner's Rift. It's just C9 are under no pressure right now.
Yeah, so the skirmishes happened, the kills went over to them, and they got those 6 very early on. And then it was all about turret, macro, leveraging your lead. So that's why I'm talking about speedrunning here, because I want to see how quickly Cloud9 are able to accelerate the pace of this game so that they can try to take it quick. And nom nom full combo.
That is a delicious spider. I was going to pick up some play-by-play there, but I'm pretty sure Forlan was just dead, so it's like a little bit unnecessary.
It's like that thing where you get scared and you're like, spider, I feel like I ate it in my sleep. And then they're like, it's a good source of protein.
Yeah, I mean, isn't there some statistic like throughout your life you're going to eat 7 spiders or something like that?
While you're sleeping or something?
Impact, only 6 more to go, my friend. The Rift Herald is going to come down and spell the end of the inner turret here in the mid lane. Only 1 more remaining as RedBert takes the majority of his health bar by what seems like incidental damage that Jensen was able to put down. It wasn't exactly the best charge, Mr. Rift Herald.
Misses.
Sorry, yes.
I don't know.
I don't even know why we need to give it a gender. Give them a gender.
Because her name is Shelly. 100%.
Really?
No, that's my thing.
Shelly? Are you a Shelly? I'm a Harold.
You're a Harold?
But I'm okay with, like, can we change Haroldine? Like, that's okay too.
Harold?
Are you saying?
I like Shelly, though, because Shelly's so great to yell when it's just charging into something.
No, we just... Okay, let's talk about this instead, because talking about the gender of Rift Herald, I think, is a little bit unnecessary. Jensen, this guy looks pretty damn good. As far as 15 minutes goes, which is what we're ticking up to right now, he was up by 46 CS against Bruiser. So now Marf looking far better. That's about half as bad.
Yeah, that's true. The CSD is looking a little bit better, but the gold advantage, it said he was up about 1,000 up against Bruiser. Now he's up about 2,000 right now, and that's because of turrets, macro game, and the fact that there have been more kills in this early part. So sure, you didn't lose lane as much, but your jungler and your mid laner are getting blasted even harder by the actual skirmishes.
I really don't want to be looking at that the gold numbers there as well, because you saw Impact's lead against Vert on the top side. That was about to the tune of 3,000 gold, something like that.
It's getting there.
Yeah, that's about 33% more money he has been able to pick up.
Yeah, it's a healthy 8,000 gold lead at 16 minutes
just
for Cloud9.
But Vert now trying to hold on to this inner turret, the last one remaining. Impact is up towards the top side, but has his teleport available. They won't need it. That is going to be a fantastic engagement from Smoothie. Has the quickness, has the grand entrance, and they certainly have the damage.
Yep, and now they'll be able to split the map too. You can see Impact on the top side able to push in. Cloud9 will continue to push this bottom side. They do have Contractz ulti for engage, even though they use Smoothies. And so they have options here, as this will be a 3-on-4 for about a wave.
yeah, they've got options aplenty. I feel like even if there were 5 members, it would be fine. As there's the beautiful combo out of Smoothie. Does come in, but thankfully the repel's there to keep Forlan alive. He's going to go off into the sky as there's the flash out from RedBert. Does have the unbreakable will, so will survive. And at least they do weather the storm, but it just feels like C9 now moves towards the turret, tries to get some of that damage down, and the message has been sent. I mean, a couple of summoner spells from Smoothie was all that cost them.
Yeah, but they got turret damage on the top side from Impact, so able to whittle a little bit away at that turret. It's not too much, and they were able to force them off the bottom part.
I like this movement as well. I mean, getting themselves back to the mid lane, making sure that the pressure is absolutely everywhere. What C9 have been doing is been unrelenting. There are no options for Team One Esports to get back into this game, no matter which team they were. This is what I want to emphasize, is the fact that that play at about level 2 has pretty much decided this, because C9 have not left any room for Team One Esports to get back in. And that just shows immaculate League of Legends. And it wasn't necessarily what we were seeing out of C9 when they were playing against CLG, when they were playing against Dignitas. All of these months ago, there were mistakes made, there were mispositionings, and that flat out has not happened here in the play-ins.
Yeah, they've been able to outplay, and it feels like they've been doing a lot of that boot camping. Like we saw Jensen end up playing a Galio that he had never played before in the NALCS ever. It was his first game, even though it was pretty good since Rift Rivals, and even before that. Talking like MSI coming off of that tournament, and Jensen playing the Ryze here. And it's a bit of a different Ryze paradigm. Ever since he got nerfed on things like the cooldown of the E and like the build-up of the damage, etc., it was 3 points in Q, 5 points into E immediately after that. So it was a little bit different than just the machine gun using the E at the rank 1 the whole game. So just for people out there who want to pick up this Ryze that now is building Abyssal Mask.
Yeah,
getting a little bit of that world's meta taste.
And I'm totally okay with having 2 Abyssal Masks here now, because Impact and Jensen have not been near each other.
They don't see each other,
Yeah, so split pushing Cho'Gath means that there's none of that redundancy that we were talking about, and it feels a lot better. So those at home with the OCD wanting to make sure that you can maximize team fights, don't worry about that. Jensen and Impact will not be hanging out together. And I was about to say that Forlan's going to check this Baron, but he's not even here for another minute.
Yeah,
it's only 19 minutes into the game. This feels like a faster game. Pretty sure this is probably one of the fastest games that we've had so far as getting to this kind of gold lead for Cloud9.
Well, so far, we've seen a 27-minute game from Cloud9, a 30-minute game from Cloud9, and a 25-minute game from Direwolves against Team One Esports. So Team One has been the victim of a 25 and 27-minute loss. How fast is this one going to be?
This is the question. I kind of want it to be 23 minutes just to make sure that we have some sort of sequencing going.
Just keep going down. People are learning.
Yep. And they're certainly setting themselves up for that, but probably waiting for some sort of Baron buff. Try and get those minions able to break open the base. Impact on the bottom side, getting things shoved forward. As the teleport is available, you can get to 25.
I feel like what Cloud9 will do is wait for the Baron, bait the Baron, turn instead of doing the Baron, because it's a higher variance play to do it, and this is exactly what they're doing here.
Do have the Realm Walk to come in, but it is interrupted, so Jensen not going to have that opportunity. Nice double knock-up comes in, as Vert does have to get himself out of the way. Forlan survives for longer than he probably should have, but does eventually fall down, and Sneaky says no to RedBert. No more jungler available. C9, pretty textbook move towards the Baron.
Yeah, when you're 10,000 gold up, you don't need to start the Baron. You deny vision of the area, wait for them to walk up, use your 10,000 gold advantage, kill them, then you go for the Baron. It's much easier to take lower variance play, and you're able to just pick that up.
Is there really a bad decision to make when you're 10,000 gold ahead? 20 minutes into the game.
From my solo queue, I will tell you there are a lot of decisions you can make at 10k up.
Okay.
That will lose you.
We were talking about PTSD earlier. I do not want to trigger yours at all.
Too late.
Okay, well, C9 going to be pushing up some Baron-empowered minions. Jensen going to be doing the same thing, but in the mid lane. Just making sure we get these Abyssal Masks away from each other, and Sneaky turret pushing Queen herself, Tristana, will be helping him out, getting rid of this turret very, very quickly. Impact get to work on the inhibitor, but it looks like they don't even really care about that. They just want to open up this base as much as possible, give them some more room on the killing fields as they look to take down Team One. 21 minutes now into the game, as this could be the final team fight moving forward. Marf in trouble. He's taking so much damage. Was that Vorpal spikes that did that? I think Sneaky was auto-attacking. We're okay. Impact's not doing that ridiculous damage. So the first inhibitor is going to fall. Inevitably, the second one is going to follow. And this has been utter dominance. 15,000 gold the lead. The point-blank ultimate is going to land, and that is no more Taliyah. Forlan also going to fall down almost incidentally once more, and Vert, he's in trouble. That's 4 swift kills. Absolute no options whatsoever as Impact. He looks basically unkillable. He's at low health, but who even really cares? That still means he's got about 1,000. Nexus turrets now taking fire, and Absolut just has to look on as his base gets decimated. C9, you thought they looked good on day 1. They look damn good starting off day 2. Direwolves had some choice words after that game saying that they'll come back. Chippy's saying, don't worry, Impact, I'll come at you next time. But man, this is looking like a terrifying Cloud9 to go up against.
Chippy's saying, you know, we're ready. Cloud9 saying, come at us. 22 minutes, 19 seconds, 14-0 in kills, absolutely obliterating Team 1. And Cloud9 will be able to move on to the play-in knockout stage after this win.
Yeah, they will. That makes them 3-0. No one is going to be able to catch up to that scoreline, so they'll be waiting at the top seed for the second seed team from one of the other groups, of course, to come in.
Direwolves can still catch them with a 2-0.
Oh, that's true, that's true.
But they have locked in either a first or second seed in the group, so Cloud9 are moving on. You don't know what position just yet, but still, they can kind of take solace in the fact that they will be playing a best of 5. They still have all of kind of the options in their hands. And man, 22 minutes, the fastest game so far of Worlds, is absolute spanking.
And that was so close to the 23, so that we'd have 23, 25,
You almost
27.
got it. You almost got it.
Very, very close. However, 22 minutes is a ridiculously fast game time. And what? They're going to beat Direwolves now in like sub 15 minutes? Like, what is going to happen? Is this like exponential, like winning speed? I'm not entirely sure, but C9, they didn't even necessarily have a snowball composition put together. There's a dang Sejuani in the jungle, Zyrene.
Yeah, and that's what I'm really looking forward to here from Cloud9 moving forward, is we're seeing Contractz be a standout for this team to help Jensen to push things forward. And remember, this is his first Worlds appearance, and this is a fantastic warm-up for him because Cloud9, if they move on to groups, they either are in a group with SKT or Samsung, RNG. They are looking at a lot of great teams with great junglers, and it's a good warm-up for the rookie.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need it as well. But now, to hear more about that Cloud9 win, let's send it over to Dracos and the analysts.
Thank you very much, Atlas. I think dominance is the story of Cloud9 in these games.
We're through. Let's go.
Okay.
We're on the elimination stage officially, and we're doing it.
And as Marcy said, now officially locked. They're not guaranteed first seed yet coming out of this group, but they will be getting first or second. So that is a big deal already. Moving on to the bracket stage. At first game, day 2, Cloud9 have already secured something that is quite impressive.
Yeah, and the manner they did it.
Exactly, the breakneck pace. I know we're like both excited. I had to compete for you there. I don't know if I can compete with that though, that relationship.
Very emotional person.
But they just missed a perfect game, and it was what, Jensen's first Ryze of the split of the season, maybe.
Of the year.
There you go. Of the year, comes out, just starts slamming kids on that one. 4-0 in the first 4 minutes of that game. Just ridiculous stats.
Yeah, I think it was so funny too because it's exactly how the C9 games tend to go. Is Contractz and Jensen pairing together, destroying that, and then spreading that around the map. They go top, they get more kills there. It was a great showing overall, and it's something that I think whoever has to draw them, even if they end up in the second seed somehow today, I don't think anyone is looking forward to playing
Exactly
C9.
what I was going to say is that if you're a team in C or D and you haven't played yet, you're like, we really need first seed. I knew we needed first seed already, but now we really need that first seed.
Yeah, I think that's just the big thing too, because it's such a mechanical dominance out of C9 where they just seem like on a different level in terms of just individual skill almost across the board.
I mean, that bottom play by Sneaky, the fact that they threw
Hate
4
to cut you
ultimates.
off, however, of course, a fantastic game, but we do have words from members of Cloud9 themselves, so we're going to send it over to Fish for an interview with Smoothie.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with the support from Cloud9 Smoothie after a dominant victory over Team 1. That was the second game you played against them. It was relatively quiet in the bottom lane, but the top side of the map was action-packed. What was the game plan going into Game 2 against them?
Well, we didn't really have a game plan. I think we just played with what leads we had. So Jensen and Contractz won an early 2v2, or several early 2v2s, and we got hugely off that. And it was really hard to play on bot side because they had Shen Taliyah, which has really high kill pressure in the bot lane. So we just played on a strong side, and it worked out for us.
Definitely did work out for you guys. This is the fastest game we've seen from this group so far. The last match you played was up against the Direwolves, and that was a relatively quick victory as well. Tell me a little bit more about that match, because that's who you're going to be playing up next as well.
Well, we obviously don't expect the games to be like easy by any means. We just take every game by game, and hopefully it goes like well like this. But I mean, I'm not expecting them to be, like fall over or anything. It'll still be a really hard game, and we'll try our best to make the games clean like this one.
Which is great to hear, because if you win that next match against the Direwolves later on today, you're guaranteed first seed coming out of this group, and that's definitely something that you guys will be striving for. Are you very confident coming to this next match? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm confident. I mean, sure, we won a lot of games, but I've gotten like punished in the past for being too confident, and I never want that to happen again. So hopefully we take every game, again, I said, like every game by game, and hopefully we just win all.
Well, that's great to hear. Congratulations on your victory, Jensen. Best of luck against the Direwolves later on. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Okay, turns out there is a humble member of Cloud9. I wasn't sure if everyone was going to come and swing in like, yeah, this is free, this is easy, why are we here? But Smoothie, definitely more reserved, definitely more relaxed.
Yeah, you heard him say, though, he's had those moments. He personally guaranteed that C9 was going to get through the gauntlet in North America. So he's not completely foreign to the idea of stunting a little bit.
Well, of course, we talked a lot about Cloud9's success, but I want to look a little bit about how they actually executed and what exactly they brought to the table, because you heard Smoothie talking a little bit about the compositions and what they were playing up against when Team 1 started to draft things like the Shen and the Taliyah.
Yeah, it's looking at the win conditions of both these compositions, and Smoothie said it himself in the interview. He talked about, it's going to be very difficult to play around the bot lane because you are competing across from an Alistar, Elise, and Shen. That has dive written all over it post level 6. But before then, Cho'Gath notoriously starts a little bit slow in the lane phase, so Shen and Elise would have good kill pressure there. So you look at Team 1, you're like, wow, so many different options about how they want to attack this early game. Maybe they camp the top lane, maybe they hard farm jungle and then just go bottom once they have all of those ultimates geared up. Whereas on the other side, it's really just about the Ryze. That was the one lane that they had to have that, initial CC lockdown, but you're still waiting for a couple of levels on the Sejuani before that takes off.
Yeah, I'm curious, is that the best way to attack this Team 1 composition, is just to play through Jensen? Is kind of the Cloud9 classic.
Yeah, it's very fortunate that the way they want to attack the comp is also how C9 just generally likes to play. If you're able to get that Taliyah set behind early, she has a harder time at 6 getting those roams off. Suddenly you can kill her multiple times, and then maybe you can spread that around the map. And, that's also exactly what C9 loves doing, getting Jensen ahead. So it was very fortunate for them that this was exactly, while it is a very scary team comp that Team 1 has built, that there are these avenues you can take as C9 to get ahead.
Well, not just what they wanted to do, but what they actually did. As we take a look at this replay, Cloud9 absolutely outclassing in terms of individual play here in the early game.
And again, the concept makes sense. You want to invade the Sejuani from Team 1, you want to disrupt her, but the problem is that he didn't bring the Elise with him, and then he finds himself in a 2v2 scenario where Cloud9 are just going to outplay.
Yeah, it was just really nice, just played by both Jensen and Contractz, getting that stun and the cleanse off of the Elise cocoon, then they're able to follow up flashes on the other side of that Taliyah Q, able to make it a bit of a whiff punish there, and then they're going to keep on for the kill. And then this second gank attempt, Marf unfortunately going to miss that Ken combo, trying to interrupt Contractz getting in on him.
And frankly, this is so telegraphed. Taliyah's flash was burned in the last instant. We said that the only, big hard form of CC and kill pressure is around that Ryze, and it's also Jensen's Ryze of all things. So this was just going to be wash and repeat for Cloud9, and it just helps that they get a double kill on top of it.
Yeah, it's so brutal after that point because, like we said, you can start spilling over that advantage. They start going topside, dove the Shen 2 times. Now you've attacked both globals on Team 1's comp, and even though their bot lane did get that turret, they were able to get an Infernal Dragon, excuse me. It doesn't matter at this point because your comp has fallen apart.
And now looking at it, do we feel like Cloud9 have gotten even better from their day 1 performance, or do you just feel like they've pretty much figured out Team 1 since their first match?
It's hard to say because they looked really good in all their games. I think this might have been stompier because it felt like Team 1 was playing a little bit more aggressive, and when you are trying to take the fight to somebody and it goes bad, it does snowball a little faster.
I mean, I think the one thing that you can really take away, because it's so hard when a team just gets, just fried like that, just absolutely blasted, is the confidence of Cloud9 and the different type of performance that they're showing. This is a good warm-up game. This is Contractz, his first time on the world stage, and the fact that he gets to go in through play-ons and really get prepped and warmed up for not only the elimination best of 5, but then hopefully the group stage afterwards.
And do we feel like this is something that Cloud9 can now transition over to that best of 5 stage? Do you feel like the variance they've shown us is a good indicator from what we can expect from them?
I think the thing I like most is just how they're treating their opponents in the pick ban phase, where they're banning out what their the other team's bread and butter is.
The Trundle.
Yep, get rid of the scariest things, the person that they're going to play in the elimination match, they're going to have some data on, and so I just like the idea of limit what you've seen them do, play your stuff, and then adapt from there.
Well, with Cloud9, they've secured themselves a spot in the top 2, so a good start for them indeed on the day. Up next, we've got a rematch between our top teams in Group A, Lion Gaming versus Team WE. But as we go to break, we're offering you a sneak peek of the latest champion update coming to a rift near you.